Buongiorno, welcome back to my channel. Today is finally the follow-up on some really hyped up niche fragrances. This is a permanent series here on my channel where I go through very hyped up niche fragrances, usually very expensive. I test them for you guys and I tell you my thoughts. Is it worth the hype? Is it worth your money? I usually go through 12 fragrances. Today is not an exception, and let me tell you, this is my most successful episode yet. It's mind-blowing how many amazing fragrances I discovered this time. It was very hard to pick my favorite one, so definitely stick to the end of this video to see my absolute favorites, the ones that I would recommend over all the rest. If you want to see my first impression on these fragrances, you will find it in the description down below, as well as the eye up here, as well as a playlist of the whole series. As I said, this is a permanent series in my channel. It's one of my most popular series, and also I usually have a lot of fun doing these videos. So if you liked this video, you can check the playlist down below for all the previous episodes. As usual, when I do the follow-up, I am ranking the 12 fragrances. So without further ado, on number 12, so my least favorite, the one that actually I find it kind of hard to recommend, and there are not many, by the way, in this episode that I would not recommend, and it is KILIAN Good Girl Gone Bad. And this is a tuberose fragrance, and I would not recommend it. Not only because of the scent profile, but because also I find it too much money for what you are getting. So there are a lot of tuberose fragrances. Tuberose recently has become quite a popular note. This is to me just not it. It's not a bad fragrance. Actually, I have to say none of the fragrances that I am going to talk about today are bad fragrances. But it's kind of an outdated tuberose to my nose. It's a little bit green. Just not it. And for the price tag, I don't know. I would not recommend this fragrance. And I know it's quite popular and a lot of people love it, but this is a definite pass for me, and also not a fragrance that I would recommend. So the first KILIAN fragrance that I test is a big no for me. Good Girl Gone Bad. Next fragrance was quite a roller coaster for me because I really loved it when I did my first impression. When I tested this one on my skin, it just was not it, and it is Nishane Fan Your Flames. Now, this is a typical example that you should always test a fragrance on your skin. In paper, it was just this gorgeous, unique coconut fragrance. It had this boozy touch, but not too much. A slight tobacco hint. It's so beautiful on paper. But on my skin, what I got is a lot of cedar and oak moss. So much that I couldn't wait to actually wash this fragrance off my skin. And it wasn't until maybe 2-3 hours that I got a little bit of what I got on paper. So this coconut, a little bit boozy, very unique and creamy and gorgeous scent. And it's also quite masculine on my skin. On paper, it was quite unisex, but on my skin, totally masculine, and not even a fragrance that I would love to smell on a man. So on my skin, I would not recommend this fragrance. From paper, I would definitely recommend it. So this is why I put this one on number 11, because I have mixed feelings. I don't know. It's definitely a fragrance that you should test on your skin, because it can go both ways. And this is why I put this one on number 11. It can work beautifully on your skin, so definitely for this one, try to test it on your skin and don't blind buy it. When we talk about performance, has amazing performance. Like Nishane is famous for how high quality their fragrances are, and this is not an exception. It's quite long lasting with a strong projection. So when it comes to performance, no issues here. It's just the scent itself on my skin did not work. So Nishane Fan Your Flames. On number 10, after a lot of thinking, it will go to Milk from Commodity. Now I have the regular one, so it's not the expressive or the intimate one. If you don't know, a commodity has of each scent 3 like degrees of intensity. So there is the intimate one, there is the regular one, and the expressive one, which is very, very strong. This is the normal one. And as the name says, it's quite a milky fragrance, a sweet milk. To me, it smells like boiling hot milk with sugar in it. It's not overly sweet. It's just in the right dosage to my nose, and it's not overly lactonic, if that makes any sense. Now, again, this is a fragrance that behaved totally different on paper than on my skin. On paper, I got a lot of the mahogany note, which I found quite out of place, not really belonging to the fragrance, if that makes any sense. It just ruined it for me on paper. Fortunately enough, on my skin, I did not get the mahogany, so I absolutely loved it, especially in the opening mid-dry down. However, I have a problem with any fragrances that are lactonic, milky. They tend to go sour on my skin, and it happened also with this one. Not with the same intensity as other fragrances, like for example Musk Therapy from NIHILO, or the other one, the dupe for it, Signature from Mont Blanc. I mean, I did not find any fragrance that has a predominant milk note or has anything lactonic in it that really worked for me. This one was not too bad, but still the sourness that came through I did not like very much. I'm so sorry about the noise. I had to open the windows today because it's really, really hot. So if you hear any noise, I am so sorry. And I would say it's one of these fragrances that you have to be really, really in love with lactonic milk, like these notes in your fragrances. Otherwise, you would not like it. So for those who love sweet, milky, lactonic fragrances, definitely recommend. On number 9, we have an Amouage fragrance, and it is a Love Mimosa. With this one, I finished the whole Secret Garden collection from Amouage, and this one is really nice. I like it. It reminds me a lot of baby powder. I don't know why. It's kind of a powdery, sweet fragrance. Now, Mimosa has a powdery and a green sharp edge to it. I don't get it much here. I get the powderiness, but not a lot of the sharp green edge. Just a touch maybe, but overall it's more of a sweet mimosa, and it's very, very unique. So this fragrance I put on number 9 because it's not for everybody. This one, I would say, is quite a polarizing scent. If you really, really love mimosa, go for it. Otherwise, you have to test this fragrance before buying it. It opens up with quite a natural smelling mimosa. So you get this sharp green powderiness, but it fortunately settles down quite quickly and it becomes quite of a sweet floral fragrance. And what makes this fragrance quite particular is the cascalon note, which I don't like usually because it gives almost like a very synthetic, watery watermelon smell that I don't like. However, here it just works. It just gives an edge to this fragrance, makes it quite unique, but maybe makes it also a fragrance that is quite polarizing, that not everybody would like. As all of Amouage fragrances, this is amazing in performance. There is no problem with performance when it comes to Amouage fragrances in general, and this is not an exception. Really, really beautiful mimosa scent. So if you love mimosa and you are looking for a sweet mimosa, definitely check this fragrance. Love Mimosa from Amouage. On number 8, we have the famous, the hyped up Note Vanille from Micallef. And as the first impression, I find this fragrance quite overhyped. Now, don't get me wrong. Again, it's quite a nice fragrance. Nice, soft, powdery, almost dry vanilla. It has a little bit of a boozy touch. very, very elegant and non-offensive fragrance. I don't dislike it, but it's definitely overhyped in my opinion. Now, someone told me that this fragrance you should let, macerate and it will become different with time. I have now this fragrance for quite a while. I've tested again and again and again, and I did not change my mind about it. But I have to mention that on my skin, it does behave or have a different scent than on paper. So it could be only my skin. If someone would give me this fragrance, I would be totally fine. I would wear it actually, but it's just the hype. The hype is too much for me for this scent. Overall, Guerlain's Vanilla are, to me, much better. I don't know. So this one also very beautiful. I find it a little bit overhyped as a scent. So Note Vanille from Micallef. Now let's get to a fragrance that I was really disappointed in, and it is Accento from XERJOFF. Now this fragrance is like the best example that you should always test a fragrance on your skin, because on paper I actually hated it. I didn't understand the hype. Why would anyone love this fragrance? I smelled this very sharp, almost lavender, a lot of synthetic notes. Just not for me, even not a fragrance that I would recommend. It was for me even worse than Erba Pura. But on my skin, this fragrance was totally different. So on my skin, I got the fruity touch. It was there also in on paper, but not as much. On my skin, I got a lot of the fruity touch. It was a little bit more balanced, not so sharp, just almost a total different fragrance. And it's quite a captivating smell. It's very alluring, like Erba Pura in a way. But it has the same problem to my nose like Erba Pura. It's overly priced. I have a problem with XERJOFF fragrances, to be honest, and I'm going to say something very unpopular. I find them, generally speaking, overpriced. Like, this is just too synthetic, too, I don't know, not a fragrance that I would pay so much money for. I think it's the fruity notes that he uses. I don't know, it's just too synthetic, too sharp to my nose. I mean, when it comes to performance, this one as well as Erba Pura are very good in performance. This has a very strong sillage and is a very long-lasting fragrance. Even when you think it's totally gone, I get some whiffs of it when some air comes my way. So when it comes to performance, hands down, I can't complain. It's just a scent profile. However, I know that this like fruity, synthetic touch that XERJOFF has, a lot of people really like. So this is only my problem. So I am on the fence about this fragrance, to be honest. To me, it's nothing that I would personally wear, but I get that a lot of people would love it. And the other thing that I have to mention, this is to me quite masculine actually. So on my skin, to me, even when I liked it, I found it like a fragrance that I would love to smell on a man, not on a woman. So it is a unisex fragrance, but to me it leans masculine. What bothers me with this fragrance is definitely the price tag, especially that there is, I think it's called Amber Fusion from Zara. It's not like the perfect dupe, but very similar to this fragrance with a fraction of the price. So this is what I mean when I say that I struggle a little bit with the XERJOFF fragrances when it comes especially to their price tags. Anyway, as a scent profile, I would say for men, I would definitely recommend it. For the price tag, not so much. So Accento from XERJOFF on number 7. Next is the very hyped Mula from Byron. Now, again, it's the same issue like I have with Erba Pura, with all these fragrances. very, very synthetic to my nose. So it's an overdose of fruits. It opens quite differently. So to me, it opens almost astringent in a way, like children medicine syrup. It settles down more sweet with like the berries, like the red fruits come very, very through. My problem with this fragrance that I can't get over this medicinal touch that it has. From where it comes, I don't know, oud, ginger, I don't know. There is something very medicinal here that really, really bothers me. It can be also the synthetic notes that is used to recreate the red fruits. I don't know. We have here peach and strawberry. It's a very strong fragrance. You have to be really into fruity fragrances to like this one. And I get the hype for this one if you love fragrances like Erba Pura again. And it's very long lasting and very projecting. The best fragrance that I can compare this one to is La Capitale from XERJOFF. Now, I don't have a sample of that fragrance. I've smelled it once. But when I smelled this one, especially on my skin, I was immediately reminded of La Capitale from XERJOFF, which is, again, a fragrance that a lot of people love. So, I don't know. Overall, I see the hype for those who love the scent profile, but for me personally, I would not pay so much money for something as synthetic as this one. So it's the same like with XERJOFF goes for this one. I find it just overly priced, although the performance is amazing on this fragrance. It's just, I don't like to pay so much money for synthetic fragrances. I don't know if maybe it's just me, but I don't like it. This is a hard pass for me. But if you love, as I said, La Capitale from XERJOFF, love these fruity bombs like Erba Pura, definitely go for this one. On number 5, we have another XERJOFF, and this one really took me by surprise because I know it's a gourmand scent and I don't like gourmands. Well, not that I don't like them, but it's not like my favorite type of fragrances. And this is a gourmand that I actually really like. Now I'm wearing it today and it's really good. This is Lira from XERJOFF. It opens like a lemon meringue cake to me, like with like this lemon custard filling. It smells delicious, delicious. It's sweet, but not too much. It has this beautiful lemony feeling to it. I feel like XERJOFF does best with gourmands. Is it like the best gourmand ever? Like Italica for me is the best gourmand ever created? No, but it's really, really beautiful. It has also the soft vanilla in the background, which really comes through in the dry down. Now, my problem was this fragrance, although I really like it and I find it worth the hype for sure, is the performance. This is one of the, I think, exceptions, at least from the fragrances that I've tested from XERJOFF, that doesn't have the best performance. On my skin, this is weak to moderate. It does project a bit in the beginning, but it settles down quite quickly. So again, my problem with this fragrance is the price tag. And also because it doesn't remain with this like fresh citrusy touch that it has in the opening, which I really fell in love with. So for me, this is a fragrance that I would definitely recommend. It's definitely worth the hype as a scent profile. Yeah, it's beautifully done. I would highly recommend Lira. I just hoped for a better performance and a better price tag, to be honest. Next is another fragrance that totally took me by surprise because it's a scent profile that I personally don't like very much. And it's one of the brands that are very hyped up, especially recently, Simone and Andreoli, and I'm talking about Leisure in Paradise. This is, to me, a tropical fragrance done right. So it opens right from the start. You have an overdose of coconut, very sweet. You have papaya. You have also pineapple in the notes. And the more this fragrance goes towards the dry down, the more vanillic it gets. It's an overdose of sweet vanilla here. And although everything that I've mentioned till now tells me that this fragrance is not for me, I really, really like it. I don't know, there is something about this fragrance that really captures me. Also, I don't like overly sweet vanilla fragrances. I don't like coconut. And I also don't like very sweet, fruity fragrances. But this just works. Now, I have to mention that first impression, I was not sold immediately on it. But testing it, even in like hot weather, so I would highly recommend this fragrance, not only because of the scent profile, which is quite popular. A lot of people love like the sweet vanilla, coconut, fruity fragrances, but also because of the performance. It's moderate to strong when it comes to like longevity and sillage, and the price is right. Simone Andreoli doesn't have outrageous price tag, so for me, everything checks with this fragrance. I would highly recommend it. If you love tropical fragrances, you love coconut, definitely check this one. Number 3, we have Chanel 1932. This is a fragrance that you would love if you love Cartier Cara. And I love that fragrance, as you all know, so I fell in love with this one. This is like a bouquet of wildflowers, like you are picking these wildflowers from the garden, and it's just this fresh, musky, floral fragrance that is very elegant and very airy and just Chanel. I don't know, it's so beautiful. I really love it, and I would highly recommend this fragrance. However, this is more of a mature fragrance, but I would highly recommend it if you love Cartier Cara. These have the same vibe, they are not similar. There is a big difference, which is the price tag, and this is why this is not already in my collection. I love this fragrance. And you will also have to be, I wouldn't say okay, yeah, you will have to be a little bit okay with aldehydes. I am not a fan of aldehydes, to be honest. It's just in the opening that you get this blast of aldehydes. It settles down quite quickly to more of a musky, floral fragrance, just gorgeous. If it wasn't for the price, this one would be already in my collection, and to be honest, Cartier Cara would be out, because to me they serve the same purpose. I just love this one more. So 1932 from Chanel, highly recommend it, and has a better performance than Cartier Cara, so it's moderate longevity and sillage overall, and projects much more than the one from Cartier. So I highly recommend this one. This is an underrated gem for me. Number 2 and number 1 was extremely difficult to rank, because I was like going back and forth which one is my favorite. At the end, I went with number 2, Ambre Cromatique from Maison Crivelli. Again, this one on skin is something totally different. It opens with a very heavy dose of incense. It's very balsamic in the opening. I did not like it as much, but wait for the dry down, especially on skin. It becomes this beautiful ambery fragrance, has like the best sillage you can ever imagine. The sillage of this fragrance is the best in my opinion, and it's very long lasting and very projecting. So for me, this is 10 out of 10, high quality fragrance. I have to check more from Maison Crivelli. I already have almost all of their fragrances, but I didn't test them yet, so I can't wait, because this one was an amazing scent. Highly recommend it. It does lean a little bit masculine in my opinion, but if you love this kind of scent profile, you as a woman can definitely pull it off. On number 1, we have the hyped up Ex Nihilo Fleur Narcotique. This is a fragrance that I would recommend for those who love orange blossom. So it's in the same vibe like Love Don't Be Shy from KILIAN, Sintra from Memo, all these fragrances. It opens up quite musky. It's like a musky orange blossom, and it settles down a little bit sweeter, but not from the orange blossom. I, at the beginning, thought I was smelling honey. It's not, because when I read the notes, it's lychee. And I don't like lychee in fragrances because it's overly synthetic, but here it just works. This is a gorgeous scent that is worth the hype for sure. I'm not a fan of orange blossom in general, and this is why I don't think that I'm going to buy this fragrance. But for those who love orange blossom, this is the best that I've ever smelled till now. It's definitely high quality, so it's worth the money, worth the hype. It's the perfect wedding scent. Just, when I smelled it, I thought of a bride. It's ethereal, fresh, and feminine, and floral, and it's just perfection. So I would highly recommend this fragrance for those who love orange blossom. If you are a bride-to-be, definitely check Fleur Narcotique from ex Nihilo. And that was it. These were the 12 fragrances that I've tested and my personal opinion. What do you think about them? Which one is your favorite? Please leave a comment down below. I hope you liked this video and you found it helpful. And if you did, please give it a thumb up and consider subscribing to my channel. Also, don't forget to hit the notification bell so you will get notified when I upload any new video. The whole playlist is in the description down below. And if you liked this video, you have 2 others recommended for you here to watch. Thanks a lot for watching and see you next time.